Hello again, everyone. This is Howard Cosell, speaking of sports.
You are listening to the Cheap Seats.
Who are these guys?
On Twitter at TCS Willis MSP Betterman, Spreaker and iHeartRadio.
Here is Steve and Steve.
Oh my God. They found me. I don't know how, but they found me.
Ah, boy, here we go.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is time for the Cheap Seats. I'm your host, Steve Willis, alongside the man in black. That is Steve Detterman.
With his Cubs tie on.
Yeah, he's got the Cubs tie on.
I told you I was going to rock the Cubs tie this
definitely
week.
Rocking the Cubs tie.
And that's because the beautiful weather outside it is baseball weather.
Man, it is baseball weather.
Don't you want to just go out there? 65 degrees.
I went out there. I was just telling you I was washing the car.
Right.
And
in February, outside.
Yeah, outside in February at a spray car wash. It was, just fantastic.
He was in his Speedo. You should have seen him.
Oh, well.
He had the sponge going and everything.
Well,
Anyhow, they said SpongeBob. Yes.
Anyhow, we got a lot on our plate. A lot on our plate for today. Pitchers and catchers have reported.
They have reported.
And
yes.
What is it? Over 3/4 of the Major League Baseball teams have already reported to spring camp. The rest of them should be
I think
there
they're all
by this
by
weekend.
Now. I think they're all by now.
I thought Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, there could be, but they're
pretty
there.
much everybody
they're
is in.
They're
spring
there.
camp
They're
now.
ready to go. The boys this summer are ready to go.
And boy, are we ready!
Yes, that's right.
I'm ready to see Cubs baseball.
I am so ready to go.
How excited are you about this year for the Chicago Cubs? Last year was exciting. Obviously, the Cubs were the big favorite to win the World Series.
Yes, they were.
And even more obviously, they won the World Series.
Yes,
which,
they did.
According to the Associated Press, is the story of 2016.
And
now
think
about all the people that have died in 2016, all the big celebrities that their lives ended in 2016, all the major happenings, President Trump winning the election in 2016, and the Cubs winning the World Series was still the top story.
Well, yes.
Not just sports story, but top story.
Well, yeah. When you wait 100 and some years to do something, that was the oldest drought in all of sports. All of sports, not just, baseball. All of sports. And when you can break that, yes, it's going to be the top story out there. Of course, it deserves to be. Because it's the Cubs, doggone it. I did. Of all of last year, that is, to me, that was the biggest story. Businesses stopped. I can remember sitting there watching the TV, and when Chris Bryant threw that ball over to Rizzo to end it out, I can tell you that there were tears in my eyes, because I just sat there and I couldn't believe it. As many years as I've gone through, watching. Year after year, you get close. The whole Bartman thing, the ball that Leon Durham couldn't handle way back in '84, all that stuff, and finally it was over. And all I could think about is my dad and say, God, I wish you were here to watch this with me. I really do. And yes, it was, because I think it was more about the life. The life of all those people that had waited so long, and everybody knew about the Cubs, the lovable losers. Wait till next year. Let's play two. All the things that the Cubs, you hear from the Cubs, it just revolved right around you.
Right. And as a Cubs fan and as an analyst, you got to live out the dream of so many Cubs fans and analysts. When you think about it, just, how many sports writers grew up in Chicago, did most of their journalism in Chicago, and was surrounded by the Cubs, came and went and saw no World Series.
No, they didn't see a hint of it.
Right, and so many Cubs fans, born, died, even further in, died even further away. and still never saw a World Series. So when you say we live in a fantastic time as a Cubs fan, you cannot even understate that.
Well, to put it in a little bit more perspective,
overstate it enough,
when
I
you
should
can,
say.
when you have, a sports broadcaster in the likes of Joe Buck, like him or hate him, I hate him, but to have someone that has done those games, as many games as he's done over his career,
Right.
saying the most memorable and the one he will never forget is when he got to say the Cubs win the World Series. When he said that is one thing that it was the most, he will never forget it. It will be the biggest moment of his life. It'll be the biggest moment of his career. That he was able to say that
Right.
during the game.
That's the biggest moment of I don't think any current sports broadcaster, play-by-play guy, could possibly have imagined a bigger moment.
No, and I listen. I sit there and you still watch the highlights, and I still get the goosebumps. But listening to Pat Hughes call that last play, you can hear the surprise. I mean, just the awe in his voice. To
Right.
say the Cubs win. The Cubs have won the World Series. I mean, just unbelievable. And that, I can understand. That is the number one sports story, not only of the year, I think right now that's of the decade. I mean, it's something that, I think everybody's going to know, where were you when the Cubs won the World Series?
Right.
What were you doing? And I think that was one of the most watched games ever.
If I had to guess, I would say probably the most watched game ever.
The seventh game of the World Series, I think, was the most watched sporting event. Let me check that out just to make sure, because that was unbelievable. So I'm excited for this show. I really am, because this is where this is where the Cubs can sit there and sort of solidify the dominance that they had, and solidify their name in history. It says the Cubs Indians World Series ratings is the most watched Major League Baseball game in 25 years.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the next most watched?
Was Game 6 of the World Series in 1991, had 40.8 million viewers. They hit 39 million. A 25.2 rating. 66 better than the Giants and the Royals the year ahead of time.
Really?
Yeah. The Cavs-Warriors game, this is how, you look at basketball, their Game 7. The Cubs drew a 25.2 rating. Cavs-Warriors Game 7, 18.9. 6.3% more.
Wow. And remember, that was a Warriors team that was looking to topple the Bulls' incredible run at history.
Right. And the thing is to put those numbers in perspective, you got to remember, as you go back in time, there wasn't much competition for people to watch.
Right.
You didn't have 190 stations on your cable or your satellite that you could watch different things.
Right.
You had, here's your three choices: ABC, NBC, CBS. And if you want to watch PBS, you got that too, and that's about it.
Yeah, and if the president was on, your night was shot.
That was it. That's all you got. That's where you read a book. Nowadays, you wish you had a book still. Yes.
Yeah, no kidding.
Then you go, okay, SpongeBob reruns. Yes, okay, here we go.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with SpongeBob.
There
reruns.
is not.
I will watch some SpongeBob.
I bet you will.
I will. Well,
hey, SpongeBob.
Anyhow,
that's what I want, SpongeBob. Yeah. We bring them all in here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, we're not. No, we're not.
We'll bring all the characters in.
No. We're not going to do all that.
Aww.
No.
You take all the fun out.
Come on, crabs. Don't be such an old softy. All right. Anyhow.
Hey, SpongeBob.
All right. We're done with this. Yeah. The 6-year-olds in the audience will love it.
Oh, they all love it.
So anyhow, when you look at this year's crop of good teams in Major League Baseball, obviously, the big talk is going to be the Cubs and their ability to repeat and all this. But one of the other stories that I think is taking a back seat right now is when you're looking at some of the perennial teams that really have not made a lot of noise during the winter months and aren't they're coming in kind of unheralded.
Well, no, and I'll disagree with you because, I think some of the big teams you're going to see, I think the National League is going to be loaded, because you've got the Cubs, but the Dodgers have really, they've really solidified, some of their things.
Right.
The Mets with their pitching.
Sure.
The Mets pitching is all getting better.
Sure.
Washington has taken they've taken a couple steps back.
Right.
And mainly with them, it's because they've got the big Bryce Harper deal coming up within 2 years, so they're really holding back on that.
But I guess where I was going with that was if you look at the National League, all right, over the last 15 years, somewhere around there, where are the Giants? Where are the Cardinals?
The Cardinals.
Where are the teams that we saw just dominate
Atlanta
2000 and the early teens? Yeah. Where are these teams? You're not seeing them.
I think what you're seeing is the revitalization of these teams that are doing it like the Cubs. They're building it from within.
Exactly.
I mean, if you're looking at, it's taking the 4 to 5 year plan.
Right.
The Dodgers, they still, they went through a struggle there where they didn't have good teams.
Yeah.
And they built it up from within.
And obviously everybody knows the Mets, who have toiled in mediocrity for a long time.
And then all of a sudden they got the pitching back.
Right.
You look at Houston in the American League, what they're doing with all the young people they brought up.
Right.
Cleveland has done the same thing.
Yep.
So you're starting to see some of these teams that, they took their lumps for about 6 or 7 years. And now, we look over in the south side of Chicago.
Or 108.
Yeah.
Depending on
Now you look over in the south side of Chicago, and they're looking at doing the same thing, starting the same thing. I think
right.
I think what's happened is, remember, we went through the sabermetrics. We went through the whole Billy Beane sabermetrics, and everybody got onto that. Mm-hmm. And now watching what happened with the Cubs. Mm-hmm. And what happened with the Red Sox prior to that?
Right.
And people are saying, maybe this guy's he's got something going here.
Right.
Maybe this is what we need to do, because the thing you find is that these teams are not only good for 1 year, but they sustain it for a period of years.
Well, and what's funny is every sport seems to have that, and it always becomes contagious. Phil Jackson brought in the triangle offense and, just revitalized the way offense was played in the NBA. Now the pick and roll screen seems to be the almost go-to offensive style for most teams, especially teams that don't have a lot of big. Then you look at the NFL. Everybody wants to be Bill Belichick. Everybody wants to have that team with all of these interchangeable parts. You see so many of it. And here in baseball now, everybody wants to be Theo Epstein.
Right.
And it makes a lot of sense. It really does, because sustained success, especially now in the days of free agency, contract deals, opt-outs, and so on and so forth, it is hard to build a team that has sustained success. And those people that can do that, and those front offices that can do that, you have no choice but to emulate them, or you'll be lost in the rest of the mire.
Well, the thing is Theo's shown how to do it 2 different ways. Remember, he built the Red Sox. He built them to sustain, and they sustained, they have 2 World Series within a matter of, 4 years? 4 years?
Right.
Okay, he was able to do that, but, he did that by bringing in some free agents. He did that, not only within.
Right.
And they lasted for a while, and then, remember, they dipped down again.
Right.
And now they're starting to come back again.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what he did with the Cubs, he did a lot differently, because he built it straight from the youth.
Right.
And, right now he has that problem, and everybody would love to have this problem where you have multiple people that can interchange throughout your lineup and interchange with different positions. Mm-hmm. That you have the ability to trade some of these people,
Right.
and to bring in pieces that maybe you haven't been able to be so successful at.
And the reason why he did that, of course, is because when he got to Boston, he didn't have this fantastic farm system he had to build from the outside in. When he got to Chicago, and one of the reasons why he came to Chicago was because they had the makings of a fantastic young farm system already. And then he came in and went even further with it, took it one step further, and started to develop all these players through different trades and
that's
whatnot.
I mean, he
And
brought
ended
a
up-
lot of it in.
Yeah, he brought a lot of it in. Don't get me wrong, but I think that was the reason for the two different angles there. Either way, very successful, and everybody's trying to emulate it. Now, over in the American League, my question is still the same. Where are all the perennial teams from the last decade and a half? If you go to the West,
Right.
Where's Anaheim? If you go to the Central, where are the Tigers?
Right.
You go over to the East, obviously, where are the Yankees? Where are the Red
Right,
Sox?
right.
And, and now you're seeing Toronto. Now you're seeing Chicago want to step up. Now you're seeing, Cleveland step up.
And I think we're going to see the Yankees, because the Yankees started doing this last year when they started bailing out of their players, when they bailed out of Chapman, when they bailed out of Miller, when they bailed out of Beltran. They brought in a ton of good young talent.
Right.
And now they're seeing, I mean, remember, when they got rid of these guys, they were out of the playoffs.
Right.
And yet with these young guys, they got back into the playoff talk at the end. They were still in it going into the last week of the season.
Right.
They were still ready, they were still in the hunt to get in the playoffs. So, I mean,
You kind of wonder, though, if Toronto didn't stumble towards the end of the season, how thick in the playoffs would they have really been?
Right. But I mean, you're starting to see teams take this look as far as, okay, we've got some of these, these aging people. We've got some of these aging stars. And that's what Theo did.
Sure.
That's where Theo dumped Dempster. That's where he dumped Soriano. That's where he dumped some of these people.
Right.
Not only to get rid of contracts, but he was able to get some young people. Remember, he got Addison Russell for what? Jason Hamill?
Right.
And then he got Jason Hamill back? The Yankees, they were able to
that was a hell of a deal.
Well,
too,
the thing
wasn't it?
is, here's the thing. Take a look at the Yankees. They were able to deal Chapman to the Cubs, and they get Chapman right back.
Yeah.
Plus, they got 3 different young people, including Gleyber Torres, who's going to be tremendous within their within their system.
Absolutely.
So I mean, it's a matter of taking a look at it. And taking a look at what you have as assets and what you can bring back. That's why I take a look at what the White Sox did. What the White Sox did this past offseason with Adam Eaton and with Chris Sale, they brought in 3 or 4 top prospects. Now, they still have a couple of people, some assets on that team that they can still deal, and they're waiting as time goes by and it gets closer and closer to either the beginning of the season or close to the trade deadline. Look for Jose Quintana to be gone. Look for David Robertson to be gone. You don't need a ace closer. If you're planning on losing 90 to 100 games to get these young kids in your lineup and get them in your system.
Right. Absolutely.
Look for Todd Frazier to go. Look for some of these other players to be dealt so they can bring in some of the young people.
Right.
They
start building the talent.
Well, and that's it. Yeah. And they had a good view of it the last couple of years, just looking north.
Right.
So I mean, I like what they did in the offseason. You take a look at what Houston did. Houston just kept building and building and building. They suffered for how many years? 4 or 5 years. Where they were the worst. They were even worse than the Cubs, which was hard to believe. And they built that team right now where that's a young, viable team that's going to be one that will contend over the next 4 or 5 years. The only thing that you really got to hope and you got to pray for, and that's the same thing the Cubs do, is that your pitching holds out. If your pitching can hold out, then you've got the young players that can take you there. The Cubs this year, you got to worry. Okay, you're still looking for that number 5 starter. Okay, is John Lackey going to give you, 15 wins this year or 14 wins? How is Arrieta going to digress even more than he did from the year before? Did what we see from Hendricks, is that a fluke? That's one season. Are we going to get another one of that?
Right.
Lester, you got to count on Lester to be the ace that he is. So, you still have the questions, but everything comes down to the one thing. Do you have enough assets to get the pitching if you need it? Because pitching is the one thing that, every single team, there's no team that has abundance of pitching. And even the ones you think have abundance of pitching, all of a sudden they lose. Remember how the Mets had the greatest rotation? And every single one of them last year won the DL.
Yeah.
Okay. The Mets had, or the Dodgers had great pitching. Yep. They lost Kershaw for a little bit. They lost some of these other guys. At the end of the season, they still didn't have two of their top pitchers, and they're still battling the Cubs to get to the World Series. So that's the key right there. Do you have the assets available to get the pitching if you need it? So that's going to be the key, and I love what Theo's done, and I love the way he's got it stockpiled. As we talked last week, the one thing I'm hoping is that he doesn't fall in love with Kyle Schwarber as much as I think that he is. And that's a problem, because Kyle Schwarber's not an everyday left fielder. And yes, they came out this week and said, hey, you know what? Kyle Schwarber is cleared to catch. And Theo came around and said, hey, whoa. He's going to catch maybe one or two times a week. In my opinion, that's one or two times too many a week.
Right.
Because the last thing you want to do is ruin those knees, but the last thing you want to do is you do not want to destroy that key part, that asset that you have that will be able to bring in a top-line pitcher if you need it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm concerned about. If you have a guy like Schwarber, he's the best thing he is trade value.
Oh, and most definitely. This is a guy that as you get closer, you want this guy to have a terrific year. Why do you want him to have a terrific year? Because if you get close to that trade deadline and you need a pitcher, this is your bait right here.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you want this guy?
Absolutely.
I want your number one starter. Okay, or I want your number one and number two top prospects, and one of them better be a damn pitcher. Seriously, that's what you have to deal with. And those are the things that you can go after when you have those assets within your system. Yep. And that's what Theo has done. If you take a look at the assets, what we talked about last week, where do you play Baez? If you play Baez, are you playing Zobrist?
Right.
What are you doing with
there literally is a million different combinations, and you're still going to end up leaving somebody good on the bench.
Somebody's going to be sitting on the bench.
Right.
You're right. Baez is going to be sitting on the bench. Zobrist is going to be sitting on the bench. Schwarber's going to be sitting. One of these guys is going to be sitting on the bench.
Right. Well, and we're going to kick it off. We're going to get to watch all kinds of baseball coming up here in the next couple of weeks. But first, we have to talk football, basketball. We've got lots of stuff coming up in the month of March. The NFL Combine's coming up.
Yes, it is.
Obviously, we have March Madness coming up. All the conference tournaments are coming up at the end of the month, and then second week of March starts the tournament, baby. And I'm telling you now, one of the number one seeds is going to be Duke or North Carolina. I've said it already. And I think it's going to happen, and I'm sure it's going to happen now.
No.
Yeah, I think so.
No.
I think we're going to have a number one seed. Right now,
no.
If I had to guess, whoever wins the ACC tournament will be a number one seed, and I think it will be either Duke or North Carolina because both teams are playing on fire.
Gonzaga
right
will have one. Gonzaga will be the number one in the West.
You think so?
Yeah.
Wow.
They're going undefeated. No one. The team that had the chance to beat them was St. Mary's.
Right.
St. Mary's got blown out by 25.
Right.
St. Mary's is what, your 24th ranked team in the nation?
Right.
Okay, they got blown up by 25.
Sure.
That's their toughest game going into the tournament.
Yeah. Well, when I said, "Do you think so?" that was kind of that was kind of a no kidding.
Yeah. Gonzaga's number one. Kansas will have another number one.
Yep.
Okay. I look for Villanova to be number one in the East.
Villanova's
ranked what, third or fourth?
I'll tell you what.
Villanova will win the Big East.
They
will not lose. I think they have maybe 3 losses this year, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Okay, they will have a number 1 seed.
If they, you know what, I can see how you would say that, and I believe it.
How do you?
But
not
in my
give them
opinion, if you take a Duke or a North Carolina, winning the ACC much harder to do than winning the Big East. In my opinion,
you know, I understand what you're saying, but you know, here's the thing: if they're going to sneak in, if Duke or North Carolina is going to sneak in. And I want to pull up something here real quick if I can. That's what I want. If they sneak in, it's not going to be it's not going to be in the East. It would be in the South. Because Gonzaga will have the West. Kansas is going to take the Midwest.
Okay.
Villanova, who is ranked number 2, they're 24-2 on the season. Okay, they will take the East.
So who do you have in the South?
Well, that's what
no, that's the question.
Right.
Who would you have in the South? You almost by default you have to go with an ACC team because there's really nobody in the SEC that comes close.
Here's the thing: you've got a couple different teams that they can move over there. You've got a Baylor, 22-3. You got UCLA, 23-3. If Gonzaga is going to take the West. Okay, you've got UCLA out there. You got Arizona, who's 23-3. I think you may get down to the point of whoever wins the Pac-10 between UCLA and Arizona. That could be your other number 1 seed. Because here's the thing: you've got UCLA at 23-3, Arizona at 23-3, and Oregon at 22-4. Those are 3 teams in the Pac-10. Those 3 teams are in the top 8. Number 9 is North Carolina. North Carolina is behind all of those at 21-5. Duke is at 20-5. What are you going to do with Kentucky? They're 20-5. What are you going to do with Louisville? What if Louisville takes the ACC?
Well, if Louisville takes the ACC,
Louisville's at 20-5, and they're ranked out of North Carolina.
Yeah, if Louisville takes the ACC, then I would say Louisville would have a shot. You know,
okay.
I think they would.
What about
really? As it boils down, I say a team in the ACC. If there is a team in the ACC that is a 5-loss team that wins their conference tournament, you try and make the argument they don't deserve a 1 seed.
I'm not saying I think your number 1 seeds. Gonzaga's a shoo-in.
Yeah,
I think Villanova's a shoo-in. Because I don't think Villanova's going to lose in the Big East.
No, and they won't because there's no competition.
And here's the thing: how do you go against them for what they've done in the past couple of years? They've won it.
But I hate the idea of for the last 3 years they've been good. Well, that's 3 years ago.
They're 24-2. They're still damn good this year.
Well, I know, but what I'm saying is you can't look at, they're just as good as this team, but because they have a history of being good, we're going to put them ahead. No, I don't like that at all.
Okay, you don't like that they're 24-2.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. I'm not talking about this year. I'm talking about don't look at their bodies of work from 2015, 2014.
I'll look at this year
and all that. Just looking at this year, compare them to the other teams in this year.
Okay,
that's to me that's preseason AP football rankings. How do you rank teams based on their body of work from last year?
Let's take a look what they've done this year. Virginia, who's in the ACC, that just got done beating North Carolina, they beat them. They beat Xavier. They beat Marquette twice.
Okay.
They've beaten Butler twice. Okay, I mean,
I'm not saying they're not impressive.
Yeah,
I'm not saying they're not impressive.
I just think if you take a look at it, that's going to be a number 1 seed. I do not see North Carolina or Duke. I don't care what you say.
Okay.
I don't see any of them passing.
This was not. This was not a ACC versus Villanova case.
No.
My case is for just whatever team wins
you said
ACC.
Duke or North Carolina. I don't think that they will get a number 1.
And in my opinion, if either of those teams wins the conference tournament, I think they
Okay.
have an argument for number one.
You've got 3 surefire number 1 seeds: Gonzaga, Villanova, and Kansas.
I'll give you that.
Okay, you got 1 left. Mm-hmm. Okay, you've got your choice:
Right.
Baylor, Arizona, UCLA, Oregon, Louisville, and even West Virginia, all ranked ahead of North Carolina.
Okay.
Okay.
Look at
All
the
of-
conferences every one of those teams plays too.
Okay, the Pac-10, where you've got the number 5, number 6, and number 7 ranked team in the nation.
All right, well, I'll give you that. All right.
I mean,
Okay, you know what?
That's what I'm
and
saying.
really, when I think about it, I don't even think about the Pac-10 because I'm thinking about the regions.
It's because you
thinking
don't
about-
see it, and the thing is Gonzaga is going to get the West Coast, being number 1 and being undefeated.
Right.
They will get the West.
I get that.
Okay, I think the winner of the Pac-10 between Oregon, UCLA. Now, if Oregon, UCLA, and Arizona, one of them doesn't win it, well, that blows that all out. But I think if one of those 3 wins it, they've got the other number 1 seed, because you've got 3 teams, 5, 6, and 7.
Right. Right.
You want to look at a body of work throughout the season.
Mm-hmm.
They've shown it throughout the season. That's why they are where they're at.
I suppose I'll give that to you.
Okay.
I suppose I'll give that to you.
So that's.
I don't really look at the
it's not
Pac-10.
that- it's not that I'm saying that Duke and North Carolina aren't that good. I think where they're sitting at right now, if you take a look at the other teams that are geographically in there, they don't fit.
And of course, this argument stems from last week when we were talking. I was talking about the Duke North Carolina game, and Steve was referring to it as a snooze fest,
As a ho-hum game.
Yeah, well, it's not a ho-hum game. And it wasn't a ho-hum game, and it did exactly what I said, and it catapulted both of these teams into the forefront right now. And by the way, proving yet again that Duke does not need to rely on just one player to make any kind of noise. Was it 2 nights ago? They did the same thing. Grayson Allen had what was it? I don't know, 10.
The guy you
points
most
or
want to
something.
see get punched in the face. Yeah.
Well,
that guy.
okay, yeah.
A nice elbow right in the jaw.
Yeah, is
broken
your
nose?
bias just because you don't like Grayson Allen?
I don't like Grayson.
So you're going to root against Duke just because of that?
I don't like Duke. How's that?
Oh my goodness!
I've
and I'm not a Duke fan, but at the same time,
I've not liked
they're
Duke
a
for
staple.
years.
They're a staple in basketball right now. I mean, that's like saying you hope the Lakers don't do good in
That's
the
like
NBA.
saying.
That's like saying you hope the Packers or the Steelers don't do well in the NFL.
Duke is the NCAA basketball as Alabama's NCAA football. You hate them.
I just don't understand why. I don't understand.
Do you understand why people hate Alabama in football?
Not really.
Don't you really?
No.
Okay.
Because a team that's good, beat them.
Okay. And
Seriously, beat them.
Okay.
If you got a problem with them, beat them.
And everybody's done that to Duke over the last couple of years too.
So they're going to continually hate on them. I guess what's really funny is I shouldn't be like that either, because we live right here with a very polarizing college football team.
Yes, we do.
In Notre Dame.
Oh, we live in a team where and this is what surprised me when I moved here. You talk about polarizing. We live in the backyard of Notre Dame.
Right.
And if you ask people who they like, there's no one that just, Notre Dame's okay. No, it's either you love them or you hate them. There is no in between.
There is no in the middle. No,
none.
You're either a diehard Domer or you can't.
And the thing is, if you
stand
hate
them,
you hate them with a passion. You have no problem yelling and screaming and gloating every time they lose at anything.
Right.
You will gloat and yell at any, even if that hey, this kid didn't get a scholarship. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Something happened at the campus. Yeah, those Domers, they can't do anything. And you hear that.
Right. And on the same note, a crazy Notre Dame fan is going to be every little thing good that happens. Oh my God! And I've had to cloud nine.
I had to temper myself so much because as a Notre Dame fan, my son went to Michigan.
And you want to talk about,
bitter,
inner conflict.
I tell you, right here, because Notre Dame, a lot of people don't realize, is right on the Indiana-Michigan border.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I actually
Which amazes me how many people don't realize exactly where Notre Dame is.
Yeah. I mean, I actually live in Michigan.
Right.
So, I mean,
Right.
and I'm in Michigan. I'm 15 minutes from campus.
Right.
That's how close they are to that state.
Exactly.
And the thing is that it is so polarizing. And that's where, we start talking about
But it's fantastic.
Oh,
it really is.
It is. But it's the same thing with Duke. I mean, you go down to North Carolina. I imagine either you're North Carolina or you're Duke.
My goodness, yes.
And now then you start throwing in. Remember when NC State had a couple of good teams?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You start throwing those in.
No, that's that's pretty rare.
You start going on Tobacco
Now,
Road, as they
anyway.
call it, whatever.
Yep.
So I mean, there's it's very interesting. I think this is probably the most polarizing area for big sports. I think in the nation.
Oh, yeah, I would say this is one of them.
You throw Michigan, Michigan State, Notre Dame, and then you got Indiana and Purdue. Because it's just so polarized. But the thing find out,
I'll even give you a little Northwestern and Ohio State.
But
but
the thing you're going to find out is that here Notre Dame pretty much stays by itself, because you don't hear Purdue fans yell about IU fans or yell about Michigan or Michigan State, but by God, they will yell and scream against Notre Dame.
And that's really funny, too, when you think about it, because all the other aforementioned teams that you had named are all in the Big Ten alongside Purdue,
Right.
and Notre Dame is, well, as far as football goes, they're an independent, but otherwise they're in the ACC.
In the ACC.
So it's surprising, really, when you say that.
And how about the Notre Dame basketball team? They have the same amount of wins as the number one team in the ACC basketball, men's basketball.
Yeah, they're really
This was a
really
team. This was a team that was picked to be towards the bottom of the thing. They're in fifth place, 9-5 in the conference. Number
Right.
one is 9-3.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised at how well Notre Dame's done during the regular season. I expect them to be in the tournament. I mean, I expect them to be, a mid seed somewhere like a 8-9, 8-9, 10,
I would
maybe
see them.
something
I
like
would see
that.
them to be a 5-6.
You think a 5-6
Yeah,
somewhere in there?
yeah.
Maybe that high.
But you got to remember, I mean, they're ranked about 24th.
Oh yeah, they're well.
So,
I mean,
it'll work out. It'll work
they're
out
not going to be a
5-5.
bubble team. Let's put it that way. But they're. I think they're going to be somewhere. They're going to be in that muddied middle area somewhere. And
they are in
and
fifth
that being
place.
the case,
They're in fifth place. North Carolina's 10-3. Mm-hmm. Louisville, Duke, and Florida State 9-5. Notre Dame or 9-4. Notre Dame 9-5. They're a half game out of second place.
I think if Notre Dame ends up with a strong finish and they make a run in the ACC tournament, I could see them being as high as a 3 or a 4 seed.
See,
Really.
I think they're still going to come in. I think they'll come in as a 5.
One thing's for sure, they're going to have their ticket punched.
Yeah.
And,
it's punched already. They're
and
20-7 right now.
Yeah, and do they have the talent to make it into the possibly into the Sweet 16?
Well, here's
I
the
don't
thing.
know.
Here's the thing that really goes right now. Looking at them, their last, they're in the weakest part of their schedule.
Right.
They finished with NC State and Georgia Tech.
Right.
Okay, so you're looking at and then they have Boston College and then at Louisville. That'll be their toughest one. They got 4 games left.
Right.
Okay. They could realistically, if it goes, like it is, let's say they win 3 or 4.
Yeah.
They'll be 12-6 in that conference. They'll be 23-8 on the season.
That is fantastic considering what they were expected to be.
Well, that's it.
I mean, they weren't expected to have 20 wins on the season.
And here's who Louisville gets to finish against. They're half a game ahead. Virginia Tech at North Carolina versus Syracuse at Wake Forest and then Notre Dame.
Boy, that's going to be tough.
Okay, Duke finishes Wake Forest at Syracuse, at Miami, versus Florida State, who is right there with them, then at North Carolina.
That's not going to be an easy run either.
Florida State.
About the only game they have there is Miami,
and that's
for sure.
and that's what you're saying with Notre Dame finishing off here. Florida State at Pittsburgh versus Boston College, at Clemson, at Duke versus Miami at home.
Wow.
You could see Notre Dame finishing second in that conference. Who does North Carolina? North Carolina is a game ahead of them, or 2 games ahead of them. Virginia, Louisville, at Pittsburgh, at Virginia, not an easy game, and then Duke.
Yeah, both those Virginia games are going to be tough. The Louisville game will be tough.
I mean, you could
Duke
see,
obviously will be tough.
You could see North Carolina losing 2 games down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, and really, if you think about it, there are so many games in which all these teams are playing each other. Louisville, North Carolina, Duke. There's a possibility for just the war of attrition.
Yep. Well,
helping catapult Notre Dame.
And that's where you look at this. Notre Dame at 9-5. They're a half game out of second place.
Right. I mean, so they're so close.
And if you take a look at the schedule, they've got the easiest home schedule coming up.
They're so close to these other teams being a half game out like this.
So now you're going, okay.
You have a little attrition on either side for any of these teams going up against each other in this round robin they have in the last 4 games.
Does it change your mind now when you start saying
really
North
does
Carolina,
have an opportunity.
North Carolina, Duke, number 1, when you start taking a look at
I never really looked I never looked into the remaining schedules.
Because they're still going to pick each other off.
Yeah, there is.
Notre Dame's gone through their gauntlet already.
Yeah. So that really does serve well for the Irish. It really does.
But and it also serves well as you start taking a look at those number 1 seeds.
Right.
Let's take a look at the Pac-10. What do they have? What do these guys have left? Let me see if I can find it.
Well, while you find that, we're going to take a break because we desperately need to take one.
Yet.
No, we're going to take a break, and when we get back, we're going to make just a couple more predictions. It's not going to be too much onto the NCAA thing. We're going to move into the NFL. We've got a few stories there to go through. A couple of breaking stories, in fact. A couple former Irish players. We're going to get into that. Plus, the show has a giant announcement that is coming up just on the other side of the break. Big announcement just on the other side of this. You're listening to Cheap Seats on XCRS Radio.
Option 5, located in Mishawaka, Indiana, specializes in hand-built boutique guitar effects pedals. Option 5 has been producing the highest quality pedals right here in northern Indiana since 2002, and they continue to create original, non-copy designs today. Option 5 is not simply tweaking popular pedals and then slapping their name on them. They're producing groundbreaking effects designed for guitarists of all styles. And Option 5 doesn't just build cool pedals. They provide top-notch repair service as well. Option 5 repairs pedals and PA equipment, can modify and retube amplifiers, and service or repair Hammond organs and Leslie speakers. If you're looking for the highest quality effects pedals and the best in repair and customer service, check out Option 5 in Mishawaka at 1126 East Jefferson. Give them a call at 574-255-6539 or online at option5effects.com. That's option, the number 5effects.com. Option 5. Let tone abound.
Where do you go when you're looking for great food, a cold drink, and some of the best local live music? I go to the Phoenix, located on the corner of Lincoln Way and Main Street in historic downtown Mishawaka. Thursday nights, it's open jam with $2 well drinks. Friday and Saturdays, there's always live music with no cover charge. Great food, cheap drinks, excellent service. The place to be is the Phoenix.
Hey, this is Kelly Sue Dennis, the voice of the Michiana scene on XCRS Radio. Join me on Monday nights at 6 o'clock in Pleasant Valley. We welcome in local musicians, listen to their stories, and play their tunes. If you want to know what's happening for the week, Tune in to xersradio.com. And remember, it's World Live Radio, baby. Do what you love and love what you do. Monday Nights with Kelly Sue.
The Cheap Seats on XERS Radio, brought to you by
us.
the Phoenix Bar and Grill.
That's right.
That was who our last sponsor was.
That was.
And by last sponsor, it's funny I should say that because actually, that is one of our last sponsors. The Cheap Seats actually is the Cheap Seats.
Go ahead.
Is actually looking to. We're actually. The clock is winding down.
It is.
We've officially hit the 2-minute warning. It's been a long time. I've done the show a long time in total, outside of XERS and doing the podcasts on Spreaker and TuneIn Radio, all the other apps I've been on, and all the other channels I've been on. It's been about 10 years, pretty much. And I took a small break right before I came here, but in and all, 10 years. And with that and all the writing, the other shows I've done and everything else, what are you doing?
I'm just...
I thought you were...
I'm throwing in the bag.
Oh, okay.
Crumpling up the bag.
And all the other shows and everything I've done, everything that I put into this, I've enjoyed every minute of it. But, things changed. 10 years ago, I had no kids. I was recently married and had a job that I didn't really care, what was going on, because I had very little responsibility at all. And this became my thing. This was my child.
Yes.
Well, this child has grown up. It's taken a life of its own, and it did well, did very well. And then I got to incorporate with the likes of you, and
right.
And I must say, out of all the people I've worked with, I've never had better chemistry than I've had with you.
Well,
and you and I have become friends,
yes,
too, which is very good friends, in fact. And that's not always the case.
No.
On radio shows, TV shows, and whatnot. In fact, I personally know a few television and radio celebrities that have worked with and are currently working with people that once the lights go out and once the microphones go off, they don't have anything to do with each other.
Right.
And you and I still talk on a constant basis.
We see each other in the show
all the time. And so the relationships that have been built, and I've built several relationships with several good people across, the NFL, Major League Baseball, other news networks, Fox, ESPN, CBS. It's fantastic. These people, I'm going to know these people forever. Mm-hmm. And they're going to know who I am forever.
Right.
And we got to share stories.
Yes, we did.
And the best part was I got to share these stories with you. I had to share these stories with the audience, that an audience that has changed dynamically over the last 10 years, but it's still the same core listeners, because I know of listeners that have emailed me a couple of years ago when I first started doing this, going, oh man, I remember when you were on Soundcast. Oh God, this is awesome. This is so much better than, some of the other networks and stuff. And I was very happy about stuff. I've carried those things over. And to those people, thank you for hanging on as long as what you did. Thank you for enjoying this. Thank you for going through the growing pains, and we have decided that it is time to retire the jersey.
It's time to turn our tickets in.
Yep, time to hang it up. And so this is actually the second to the last show. Next week will be our final show. We will go over a few things. We're probably going to do a little bit of looking back. There'll be a few stories to tell. We're going to cover obviously anything major that needs to be covered, but we're gonna go out with a bang. We're going to do it in style. We're going to have some fun. And I invite you obviously.
We may
to
actually
listen to
go
that
over
show.
2 hours.
Maybe. We don't know how.
We may have to.
We don't know how it's going to go. We may pull an all-nighter. I may chain myself to the desk and say I'm not leaving. I don't know. Who knows?
Just as long as I can go up to the bathroom every now and then, if you don't mind. I might get wet down here.
But after everything's said and done, I've decided that my family, my 2 young daughters who will listen to these shows on podcast later on in life and go, God, what were you thinking? Dad, you're an idiot. And you know what? I am. I'm an idiot that loves sports, and I got the opportunity to talk about it. Do something that hundreds of millions of people, men and women all across the globe, would love to do but never had the opportunity. And I did have the opportunity for 10 years to do it, and I am very grateful of that. And grateful to everybody that cared enough to listen, and even more so cared enough to offer their opinion right beside me. So to you, Steve Detterman, I say thank you.
Well, and I want to say thank you to you because I started here about 4 years ago.
Yeah, it was
about 3 or 4 years ago.
Going on 4. Yeah,
yeah. I think Zach and my son came in with me, and that was one of our first shows. Mm-hmm. And I can remember you go, hey. I just got done. You left, and Bill told you, don't come back unless you bring him with you. And I said, well, God, that's a great compliment because I had done sports a long time ago, and I've always been a sports fanatic. And every time I saw you, the one thing is we initially built up a conversation at my work. A nice rapport with each other, and we would talk sports back and forth. And that's where you brought. Hey, I got the sportscast I'm doing and a sports show, and I'm going. That'd be cool. I love that. That'd be great. Maybe you should have me on sometime. And all of a sudden, one of those days, you took me up on it and said, "Hey, why don't you come and be on the show?"
Yep.
And it was one of the biggest thrills that this person here got to come in and speak his mind again. And to be able to share an opinion. Right. It got me thinking more sports. I started my sports host page on Facebook. And what this will do, it allow me to write more because I haven't written a lot over the last couple of years because I've been putting more into this and more into what we're doing. You've brought sports back, as far as keeping my opinion open to basketball, which is not my favorite sport.
Right.
But I can talk basketball with the best of them, and I give that basically to you because you've kept me in tune to that because I've had to. Because if I'm going to argue with you, if I'm going to break your little bubble every now and then, I got to know a little bit about it.
Right.
And I've been able to do that just as you've done with baseball with me.
Yep.
But it's been fun. And the one thing is that as we talked about it and we discussed ending the show, I told you I would never do this show without you. I remember 2 summers ago you took the summer off, and I sat in here and had a co-host with me for the summer, and to me it was the most miserable summer that I ever had. Not that the co-host was bad or anything like that, but it wasn't you over there.
Right.
And to me, that took away, from my performance. I said, I don't want to do this show unless you were here. And that's when I became a diva and said, I won't do the show unless you are here. And
of course we catered to you.
Yeah.
because you bring the ratings.
No. I'm just the filler. You're the meat. I'm just the filler. But the thing is you've allowed, between the two of us to bring our opinions out and to let other people, say, hey, either you guys are idiots or hey, Steve, I agree with you, and Steve, I don't agree with you, and I won't tell you which one they do agree with and who they don't.
Right.
But it's allowed us to put a forum out there to let other people think about some of these different issues, and what do they think? Do they think we're full of crap, or do they think that hey, maybe we hit something here?
Right.
And if it got you to think a little bit, if it got you to care a little bit more about sports, to be a little bit more passionate like we are, then I think we succeeded.
I would honestly say we've done our job.
Yeah.
If we get just one person to think about a subject, whether it be sports or whether it be, because we've touched on a lot of subjects here.
Yep.
We've touched on everything from drugs
to domestic abuse.
Yeah.
Our talks
Child
over,
abuse.
Our talks over Ray Rice and Adrian P. I was going back to my Sports Source page, and I read my article I did about Adrian Peterson, the one that you allowed me to read on air.
Right.
And, it still gave me goosebumps to sit there and go, I am still as passionate today, about that as I was then.
Right.
It's interesting that, when you take a look at a lot of things in this crazy world, and we're seeing a lot of it, believe me, we're seeing a lot of it now out there.
Right, certainly.
Sports allows us to get away. Sports allow us to talk about different things.
Right.
And forget about those things. Forget about the troubles out there. I can remember one of the things that bound this country together after 9/11 was sports.
Right.
Can you remember the game in Yankee Stadium? Remember the games that they had in New York after that? You had, when did we start, with the big flags unfurling in football stadiums? When did we start having the seventh inning stretch as far as God Bless America?
That was right after 9/11.
Those things have carried forward. Those things that happened in sports brings people together. One of the biggest things that bring people together every 4 years, the Olympics. And that's not just here, but everywhere. And that's something that you and I have had the privilege of talking about.
Yes.
And I could not imagine doing that with someone other than you. I
totally agree.
You've allowed me to do that, and thank you. Thank you very much for asking me 4 years ago, hey, are you doing anything this Friday? How about coming over? Why don't you do the show with me? Do you think you get off work early? And the thing is at that time, my job, my business closes at 7 on Friday nights.
Right.
And ever since we started doing this show, except for when someone's on vacation or I'm on vacation, I'm able to schedule myself, and the people I work with, and I thank them too, have allowed me to leave at 5. Mm-hmm. So I can get here, I can prepare myself a little bit, get in the mood, and then you and I are ready to go at 6.
Right. Right.
So, but, thank you for 4 years ago saying, hey, why don't you come and join me for this and see what you think?
And who knew? It would be every Friday night for the next 4 years.
And it's been a blast.
It really has.
I can't, to me it's going to be a void. I will delve more into my writing. But, if I get a chance to speak, I will.
Yeah, and I'm going to enjoy going back to being a sports fan.
Yeah.
I have my opinions. And when I first started doing this, my opinions were huge. I was so happy to get my opinions out into the world. And now it feels like I have my opinions, but I'm not as motivated to put them out there.
Well, it's going to be nice, and I think you'll agree with this, to watch a game where you can just watch a game and not have to sit there and form an opinion on what the refs did and what this happened and so forth.
Right.
And to talk about it. You can take a look at it. I know you and I will talk anyways.
Oh, certainly.
But the thing is that it's going to be nice to watch a sporting event where I can watch it for the pleasure instead of going, okay, what happened here, what happened there, was this a changing point, and blah, blah, blah. I can just look at it as a pure fan and just love it as it's going.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something I haven't done in a long time.
No.
And so it's going to be tough to do.
And the thing is I do want to let those people that do follow us on Facebook, I will still be putting stories up on there.
The Facebook page will
still be going. It will still be going.
And we will still update you because social media it has become a huge part.
We're still on Twitter.
This.
I mean,
Yes.
we're still going to be there. We're
Facebook,
still going to load
Twitter,
stores
definitely.
up. I may throw some opinions up there too. I know Josh is going to be putting up his Fast Four.
Yep.
He'll be keeping us up to date on NASCAR as we go through the summer.
Yep, and I'm sure all of the major stories, everything else, they'll
still be
opinions.
posted. They'll still be posted, and you'll see our opinions still going in there.
And you never know. There may come a day that you'll see me again. Who knows?
And I'll get that call. Hey,
I had an idea.
What are you doing on Friday nights?
You never know.
But
as for now, it's time for me to be dad. It's time for me to be husband.
And the thing is,
those are
that
my focuses.
When you and I sat down and talked, I knew right away what we were going to talk about. I knew it.
Right.
Because I've been in your shoes. My kids are now out of college.
Mm-hmm.
Yours are in grade school.
Right.
And just getting to grade school.
Right.
I know what that does, and I knew what the talk was about. And as sad as it is, it's time.
Yeah.
It's time for you to be dad. It's time for you to be the person that's going to go to the soccer games, to be the soccer coach like I was when I was growing up with my kids.
Yeah.
To be the baseball coach, to do different things with your kids, whether they like sports or not.
Yeah.
And
an enormous component of this, of my success as a host and as a sports journalist is of course my wife. Mm-hmm. My very lovely wife Linda, very adoring, and she has been through a lot with me and herself and her family, and we've gone through. On air, I've gone through so many stories. I've gone through, her getting cancer and beating it. I've gone through the birth of both of our children. I've gone through the loss of her mother, the loss of my father. And most recently, she and I have gone through a domestic change that the two of us are coming back from. And my focus needs to be on her too.
Yep.
Most importantly, in my opinion, my focus needs to be on her and I building our relationship where it needs to be again. And that is not. I'm not necessarily going to say it's a driving force because I don't want to sound like I'm putting blame on anything because there is no blame here. It is just what it is. And as in your words, it is time.
Mm-hmm. Amen,
it's time to go this direction, and it's time to be Steve Willis, dad, husband, overall nutcase. But right now, we still got a show and an hour to go.
And we've got another show next week. So, hey, do me a favor.
What's that?
I'm talking to the folks out there.
Oh, okay.
Get on our Facebook page this week. What do you remember from the past 3 or 4 years? What are some things that stuck out to you in the time that you've listened to the show that stood out?
And you know what?
What are some things you want us to bring up?
We need to put that on the Facebook page too. Let that cycle for a week, and get some really good stories, get some good talking points. Because I'd love to do that on the last show. Just go through what you guys have to say. Go through what you guys thought of the show for the last few years, or just in general, or us, or our opinions, or whatever. when I started this show, I had a lot more hair.
I didn't.
I have a lot less now.
Yes, you do. I still have about the same. There wasn't much there to begin with,
but so it's been a long time, and so there's a lot of material there to cover. So we challenge you with that information. So please do that, and be sure to add that to the Facebook page and pound that in every day. Just drop a note, to just get people to respond to it. And I'd love nothing more than to read some of those next week. Yeah. So, now we need to talk some sports for another hour yet. So we do. We got time yet.
I think so.
Let's do that. Let's get into it. So, obviously, before the break, we were talking about the NCAA men's tournament, and didn't even touch on a fantastic achievement by the NCAA women, specifically Connecticut, yes. Yeah. If you haven't been following, Connecticut won their 100th straight game this last week. 100 straight.
That's more than any other team ever.
That is ridiculous. In basketball, it is more than any other team. It is the most in any other college sport, with the exception of, I think, like 3. And those 3 are sports where one team has dominated for like a decade. So is it an achievable goal to surpass those? Probably not, because I think one of them is like water polo or something, where the team had won, like 190 something straight games or what? Some ridiculous amount. So, do I see Gino Auriemma stepping up, after they've won their 200th straight game? No, I doubt it. But if you think about all the talent that has passed through University of Connecticut in that 100-game stretch.
Well, to do it year after year after year after year.
Because what is it, 26
figure
games?
Almost 4 years. It's almost 4 straight years.
Yeah, that's damn near 4
years.
straight years.
It's over 3 years straight.
Because it's like 26 games in a regular season.
Yeah.
So, oh my goodness. And undefeated in the NCAA tournament all 3 years.
Well, that they've won it, the last 3 years running?
Yeah, 3 years in a row. So that means that they literally have not lost a game.
No.
Because they've won their conference tournament every year.
No,
too.
and that's what you got to look at. In basketball, you play 30 games in a season, and there's always going to be that one game that maybe you weren't up for. Maybe the shots weren't falling. They weren't right. It was a bad night. Maybe someone got injured or sick or whatever, and you may lose. You go, hey, they finished 30-1 and won the thing. That's great. 100 straight wins.
That's almost unfathomable. If it hadn't happened in my lifetime, I'd be hard pressed to believe it.
Yeah, I mean it's
almost like the Wilt Chamberlain 100-point game. You look at it and go, but where's how did it happen? Is there proof that it actually happened? Yeah. Because the debate is still there. And this, we have documentation, we have proof, we have video evidence of it all happening, and it's still hard to believe.
It is, and
it really is.
I look at this, and Gino Auriemma is also a lightning rod for hate,
controversy, certainly.
Well, controversy and hate.
Obviously, everybody remembers when the late great Pat Summitt and he went back and forth, in the media, much less on the court.
And Gino and Moffitt's tirades back and forth with each other too.
Oh yeah, certainly.
Digs,
certainly, Muffet.
Where Gino, you're Notre Dame, you're afraid to play us. You went to the ACC to get away from us.
Right.
Things like that. Just a little, the little digs that Gino's always good at.
Right.
But to see what he's done and what he's accomplished up there, what he's gotten his team to do.
It has truly been amazing.
It is. And the thing is that, every game they go in with that target on the back.
Uh-huh.
And every game they avoid that arrow that hit the dead center. They're able to do it. And that's the biggest thing you look at, because there's always, like I said, there's always that one game where the shots just aren't falling. Maybe we got stuck in a snowstorm. It took us forever to get there, and or whatever. We're tired. We came off of here and there, and every other team that comes in, remember, they all come in with the same thing. We're there to upset. If we beat Connecticut, that's our year.
Right.
All you do is beat them once. That's our year. And you can be damn sure that whoever does beat Connecticut, that's going to be their season. I mean, that's going to be the game for them. No matter whatever happens in their season, that's going to be their whole season. We beat Connecticut. So I mean, hats off, kudos, everything you can think of to Connecticut women's basketball team, because to win 100 straight games, that is phenomenal. It
is. It really is amazing when you look at everything that they've been capable of accomplishing, and everything in between. Just the constant moving and shaking like a college team does. You have players that have gone on to the WNBA, which, by the way, they have no shortage of fantastic players in the WNBA.
I mean, if you look at they
continuously reload every year. They reload and they do it again, and they just go back and do it again and again and again, and it is just it's shocking.
Well, take a look at it this way. We look at college football. We look at what Alabama has done over the last 10 years.
Right.
They haven't even come close to what Connecticut women's basketball team has done. Not even close.
Right.
Because the thing is that they've lost. They've lost in more than one game in a season. Yes, they may win, but Connecticut's doing that and not losing.
Right.
So I mean, that's when you put it in perspective. What's the most wins in a row for men's basketball? Was that UCLA at 68 or 88 or whatever it was?
Yeah, it was Wooden's team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. 100. 100 straight wins.
That is ridiculous.
It is. It is.
It really is. And
I don't see it. I don't see it let them soon.
No, I really don't. No, honestly, I don't. All right. And as we move on here, as I drop my phone.
That's okay.
And we move on here. So we go from the NCAA men's and NCAA women's tournament. We move to news a little bit closer to home, I would say, and not good news at all, really. And that involves a former Notre Dame wide receiver, Michael Floyd, of course, former Patriots wide receiver as well, sentenced to 120 days in jail. He's going to serve 96 of them at home after pleading guilty to what they're referring to as extreme DUI. Extreme DUI. Now, you were kind of looking this up.
I looked
right?
at one charge of second offense extreme DUI, which is a blood alcohol of 0.15 to 0.19. He actually had a blood alcohol of 0.217. He was even above the extreme DUI. Now, a normal, you're considered drunk at what, 0.07?
Yeah, I think it's 0.08 or something like that.
0.07, 0.08.
Yeah.
3 times that. When they stopped him, he was stopped at a stoplight, passed out.
Completely.
And he sat there, and they went through like 2 or 3 cycles of the red lights before they pulled up and said, "Hey, what's going on here?" And there's Michael Floyd, and this isn't the first time. Remember, he was suspended his last year at Notre Dame, for part of the end of the season, I think the off season, and he had to work his way back in, to the graces of the coach to be able to play. So I mean, this isn't a new thing for Michael Floyd. What he got a 24-day jail sentence. The remainder of the sentence, the 96 days, is to be home detention. He has $5,115.99 worth of fines and fees. He needs to take part in an alcohol education program, 30 hours of community service. And the thing is that this is something that this young man has got to take serious. I mean, this isn't the first time. And I know after the second time at Notre Dame, he had to, go into alcohol counseling and everything else.
Right.
Obviously, it didn't work.
Right.
This is something that this young man has to has to take serious, or he's going to be one of these people we read about, and something that's not even be a good thing to read about. We're going to be hearing about an early grave, and that would be sad. It's sad already to see this young man with the talent that he has to be abusing it this way, to where he's not living what he should be doing.
Yeah, it's what I think the thing that hurts worst here is because this has been a problem that's followed him all the way from, right here in South Bend.
Right.
When he was a stellar wide receiver for the Irish, and he actually completely lost his spot here on the team, and got a second chance, got cleaned up, said everything was good, proved himself, and got back on the team, made a huge impact, ended up making a career in the NFL out of it.
He was a first-round draft pick.
And I don't know, to me, when you see a kid do something like this, you have to shake your head.
You do.
And you just got to go, man, who are the people in your life, and why aren't they helping you?
You need to get better grab. You need to get control of this. You need to get help.
And the people around him just need to shake him and say, look what you're ruining. Look what you're going to throw away if you continue to do this.
But the thing is addiction is an addiction. And as
addictions are beatable, though.
They are, but as much as people can try and help you, you still got to want to be helped.
This is true. This is very true.
And that's what I'm fearing is right now that Michael Floyd, for some reason, doesn't want to be helped. And I think that's the most disturbing thing out of this, is that he's had the chances. If people are directing him to, please get the counseling. The NFL, get the counseling. Notre Dame, get the counseling. He goes to the counseling and it still isn't working. It comes down to him.
Yeah, at that point, you have to be the one that wants to make the change.
Yeah, and hopefully this will be the thing that gets him there.
So he's not the only NFL player or current or former NFL player in the news this week. Former NFL running back Trent Richardson, of course. Trent Richardson, most notably at the Cleveland Browns Indianapolis Colts trade that went awry and completely decimated the Colts running game. He's facing a misdemeanor domestic violence charge in Alabama. Police in the Birmingham suburb of Hoover, say the 26-year-old Richardson was jailed Friday with bond set at $1,000. Now, in the police statement, they say officers received a call about yelling coming from a guest room at the hotel Thursday night. It says police responded, found a woman with scratches and bruises on her face. The statement says the two argued earlier at a Walmart store, and the dispute continued at the hotel. Paramedics treated the woman, but she didn't require further medical attention. Richardson played football, of course, at Alabama before he went pro, and he spent 4 seasons in the NFL between Cleveland and Indianapolis. And right now, they don't know if he's got a lawyer or not, but to me, if you're any kind of an athlete professionally, why would you allow yourself to get involved with any domestic violence whatsoever? Anything, especially in the NFL. There's an NFL pre and post Ray Rice.
Right.
The NFL pre Ray Rice is the NFL that, be quiet.
Where's the rug? Where's the rug? Here, let's get under.
We're not going to talk about it, and don't worry about it.
No.
NFL post Ray Rice, if there's a whisper of it out there, damn it, it is all over the place, and you are going to have to answer for it.
But, Yes and no, because we're still waiting to see what the NFL is going to do with Ezekiel Elliott.
Well, I'm not saying the
Yeah.
NFL is going to make you answer for it. What I'm saying is in the court of public opinion.
Oh, it is.
And by the teams, you're going to have to answer for it.
Every
every NFL team. Look what happened to Ray Rice.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Well,
he's
here's
nowhere.
The thing. Ray Rice is nowhere, and the reason he's nowhere is because he was aging, he was old, and no one wanted to take a chance on him. What happened to Adrian Peterson? He came back and playing. Now he's a big free agent, and there's a lot of teams talking about him. The NFL, I understand what you're saying, but the NFL has been so wishy-washy on this thing. They come out and they bam, they slap your hands and do this, but they're also very quick to say, well, Adrian served his 1 year suspension. Now he's back, and he's only 28 years old. Let's bring him back in. Ezekiel Elliott, this thing happened a year ago. This happened before the season started.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Dallas Cowboys. We don't want to we're on the Cowboys parade. We let them play the whole season.
Right.
They still haven't done anything about this whole situation. Trent Richardson is a running back that can't play in the league because he didn't have the talent. He didn't have the ability to play in the league. He proved in a couple different areas.
Right.
Okay. The NFL is going to push that because the more that we can get, players that aren't going to be in here, it's easy. That's a lot easier.
Yeah, those are easy.
Those are the easy ones. It's the ones where you have a star player, you have a Zeke Elliott, you have someone like that becomes a little bit harder because these are the people that are the faces of some of your franchises.
Well, and let's face it, they're also the people that put butts in seats.
Yes.
They're the people that sell tickets.
And the NFL knows last year was not a good year for them.
It was not a stellar year.
No.
Visually, ticket sales, everything was down.
So
everything was down.
And the thing is, I agree with you saying, why would anyone want to do this? Because the NFL is going to come down on you. Yes, they will, but it's also going to depend upon where your talent level is either.
Yeah,
there's still.
I see your point.
There's still that 2-tier. If you're a lower talent, you are not a star player. They're going to crash down on you so hard that you aren't going to know what hits you. If you're a star player, well, let's investigate this a little bit more.
Right.
How long can
investigate, push this off.
How long can we drag this out to where, we can do what, and we can get to this a little bit later, what the Boston Bruins did to Claude Julien, their coach that they axed on a Friday.
Yes.
On a Friday before the Patriots played in the Super Bowl. One of those, late Friday afternoon, hey, by the way, we just got rid of Claude Julien. Okay, you guys didn't notice it because everybody's talking about the Patriots.
Right.
The NFL will do the same with some of these things. We'll drag it out long enough until we have something that's exploding that we can kind of sneak this in.
Right.
Hey, we looked into the Zeke Elliott thing, and we kind of decided that, hey, we're going to suspend him for 2 games, but they're going to be preseason games. And you aren't going to notice it.
No, and you're not because you're going to be too
wired on
enthralled
something else.
about something else going on. So yeah, you do have a very good point, and actually that does happen sometimes too. So, but in the case of Trent Richardson,
but it does.
In the case of Trent Richardson, though, just walk away, dude.
Yeah, well,
if it got that heated, get out of there before something does happen.
And that's just not for Trent Richardson. That's for everybody.
Well, yeah.
That's an everybody thing.
That's obviously everybody, but specifically in his case.
I know you've had an argument with your wife before. I've had an argument with my wife.
Absolutely.
I have not reached out and touched her in anger. I've not hit. I've not slapped. I've not scratched. I wouldn't think of that.
I can
That's
certainly
not part
say,
of my DNA.
I can certainly say for my wife, the feelings probably not been mutual, but I've never thought about putting my hands on her.
Never.
Ever.
Never.
Ever. Nothing in my head. And we've had some heated throwdowns. God knows we have. and deservedly so.
Yeah.
And you know what's really ironic? In every case, I've been wrong.
See,
it works that way. I don't know why.
My wife and I's heated our heated meltdowns are. I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna sulk for a while, and you're gonna go over there and sulk for a while. And we're all we're both right. Within about a half hour, I'm gonna come around and tell you I'm wrong, and that's how we get by it.
Yeah, time heals all.
And the thing is that you wouldn't put yourself in that situation in any, a normal situation. There are a lot of people that don't. And it's not just football players, but, football players are going to get he's going to get more notoriety because he played football.
Right.
He's going to get even more notoriety because he was supposed to be a superstar and he failed.
Right.
Why do we hear more about Trent Richardson? Why do we hear more about Johnny Manziel? Why do we hear more about these players when they fail? It's because they were expected to be the big deal and they didn't make it.
Right.
And we want to revel in the fact that, hey, look, they didn't make it. It's like that train wreck. We want to look at that train wreck. Even after we go by it, we're going to look back and look at that train wreck again. We may drive around the block just so we can see it one more time.
Which is very true. I mean, for some reason, we tend to wallow in
other people's misery.
Yeah, in the misery of those that shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Right, because you know why? Because we wish that we would have had that chance.
What's the old line in A Streetcar Named Desire? I could have been a contender.
I could have been a contender.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. And the thing is, it's because we wish that we had that shot.
Right.
As a sports guy, I wish that I had the ability that Trent Richardson had, because you know what, I'll tell you, I would have done it different, and I would have done this, and I would have done that.
Right.
I don't know, but I probably wouldn't have. But the thing is you want to say that because you're going, God, I love the game so much, and if he loved the game so much, he wouldn't do that. You can't put yourself in someone else's shoes.
You can never do that.
But
that never excuses
it. Does
either.
not excuse behavior like that.
Absolutely.
Now where?
And now, where do we go? Where do we go from there?
This is one of those shows where we walk down and go, okay, we're in between March Madness, football's over, baseball really hasn't started.
Yeah, so what do you talk about?
Well, what do you want to talk about tonight?
Whatever's on the news line, kids.
Pull up something else.
Yeah. Here was an interesting thing I had found
I do want to talk
this morning.
about Claude Julien, though.
Yes, we definitely. Yeah, I heard it. I definitely want to do that.
Yes.
Anyway, just because of the circumstances behind not only his firing,
well,
but
the thing is where he's at now.
Yeah, where he ended up. But I did want to throw this in here. Tony Steratore.
Yes,
taking over as president of NFL Referees Association, replacing Jeff Triplett.
Really?
I found this fantastic timing, and here's why. Jeff Triplett has always been critical of the NFL in a lot of things. Now, all of the sudden, starting this year, all NFL referees are full-time employees of the NFL. So the NFL couldn't possibly have a Jeff Triplett
God, no.
lording over.
It's like having an anti-Roger Goodell as your leader. Roger Goodell's there because the owners enjoy him. The fans hate the crap out of him. It was amazing when he's handing out that Super Bowl trophy. As soon as he walked up, they just started booing.
Yeah.
He didn't even wait for it to stop because he knew it wasn't.
Yeah, he knew
Let me just keep talking.
It wasn't going to stop.
No.
Tony Steratore, of course, is, in my opinion, he's an NFL yes man.
Oh, he is.
Whatever's good for the Shield.
Yeah.
That's what he's going to do. So I guess a couple of questions come to mind, and one of the first ones that comes to mind is you got to wonder what rule changes, what changes to how the NFL rules break down, and how the officials carry out the observation of said rules under Steratore versus under Jeff Triplett.
See, and the thing is that I look at this, and it's very interesting we make this change because we're going from the part-time employees to full-time employees. This is going to be their main job. Where right now the officials have their week-time job and they come do the NFL. Maybe they're caught up on this, and maybe their business is taken away for a little bit. This now, all their judgment is supposed to be on these games. And we're coming off a year in which I thought the officiating was the poorest.
Probably the worst
I've ever seen in the last 15, 20 years.
Right. Probably the worst I've ever seen, honestly.
It was horrible officiating. And now we're going to go in, and we've got a yes man from the NFL.
Yes.
I don't know what to expect. I mean, you watch the defensive backs. I mean, it's like, okay, I can't cover a guy because if I get close to him, I'm going to be penalized.
One of the things that I think I'm going to look at when I do watch NFL referees this year, which I'm still going to pay attention to it. I know I am. One of the things I'm going to notice, I think, is going to be a lot more black and white in the rules. I don't think everything's going to be as grayed over, especially things like what constitutes a catch, pass interference, holding, things like that. Obviously, there are some things that you're never going to take away. You know, John Madden once famously said, really, if you think about it, there's probably holding on every play.
There is.
And that's probably the case. So, I mean, you're still going to get a few, hey, he's holding me. Well, I didn't see it. You're probably going to get a few of those.
Yep.
But I think we're going to start seeing the odd flag thrown in a weird circumstance for no good reason, and next thing you know, they drum up, oh, well, it was this. You know, that's going to go away. I think when in doubt, throw the flag is going to go away. I think it's going to be more like when in doubt, let him play, which is really the way it should be anyway.
I agree with you, but it really bothers me when we go to this. I think we're going to see some teams get away with more than others too.
How do you figure?
Well, I think when you go to, such a NFL team, you know that the NFL has certain markets that they want to see do well.
Yeah, now you're going down a slippery slope because now we're actually talking about we're like this far away, and I'm holding my fingers very close together.
I know you are.
We're like this far away from fixing games with a sentence like that.
And there have been rumors of that in the past, not only in football, but we've seen it in basketball with the phantom calls, like the Michael Jordan coming in and not getting touched, but we're going to call the foul.
Okay,
your phantom fouls.
I will give you like something like that in the NBA. I
think that you may see this, and that's what I'm worried about.
The problem that I see with doing something like that intentionally, and this is an argument that I've done for a long time. The biggest problem I see with doing something like that intentionally in the NFL is every play. Every second of every play, there are so many moving parts, and anything, just one thing could completely change the game.
But you and I had this discussion, not on the air, but going back and forth through text and everything else, watching football games, on how the discrepancy between the pass interference on one side against the other side, how different they were. One's called, one's not. Same thing.
Right.
One might have been even worse and didn't get called, and then this one did.
And see, to me, that's more of an evolution of the referee will fix that. You have a commonality on all these referees, and you don't have two referees looking at two different plays. One calls it pass interference, the other does not.
Do you think with full-time officials that we're going to see better officiating?
I think you almost have to.
I think you have to expect it. That's not what I asked. You have to expect it, but are you going to?
First of all, I certainly expect it. And second of all, I don't know how you can't. And here's let me explain it like this.
Okay.
Let me explain it like this. You get a new house. You drive home from work in that new house, or to that new house.
Right.
The first day, you're paying attention to the street signs. You're trying to figure out where you need to go, and you're looking at all the little details to try and map it out in your head and remember exactly how you get home. By the time you get a couple of days in, it becomes a little easier. By the time you get a couple of weeks in, you're not even really thinking about it anymore. Maybe you turn the radio on a little more often. Maybe you listen, make a phone call or something a little more often. And then by the time you're a few months in or a few years in, God, you don't even think you could be half asleep and make it home.
But let me bring this.
And this is let me finish my point. And when you take these part-time referees who get part-time educations and go to like one symposium and a couple of training seminars every year, and that's it. And then they're thrown into the games. No, you're not going to have that anymore. Now you're going to have full-time referees that go to symposiums and training sessions and everything else all the time and are constantly riddled with, the rule book and here's how these things are. And all of these training sessions can be held all at once instead of this group of referees is trained by this guy on this date, and then these guys, because they couldn't come in then, come over here, but they get trained by this other guy, and then these guys over here, this third set, they couldn't make it to the first two seminars, so they get trained by this third guy, and all these guys have different opinions. No, that's going to go out the window. You're going to have classes where every referee is sitting in those seats learning all the same material all at the same time. That continuity by itself inherently breeds consistency. And that's the one thing the NFL needs out of its referees. You know what? I don't care if I don't agree with the call, but make the same damn call every time. And that is exactly what the NFL is going for, and that is what I think they'll succeed in.
And here's your problem. This is where I will rebut this.
Okay.
What you have right now, you don't have new officials. You have officials that have been officiating for 10, 15, 20 years. Okay? So you're saying that, I understand, the house aspect. You go by the house one or two times. Okay, now we've driven by it 20 times. Now we've driven by it for 20 years. And we're still making those same mistakes. We're still making those same errors. Sometimes you can't take the same old crap and expect the same old flies not to come by, because that same pile is going to be there. Now, if the NFL goes into this and they say we're going to have full-time officials, then you know what? Bring me in damn new officials that you're going to train, and you're going to make sure get the same training from day one, that they don't have the same misconceptions that they've carried with them for 10, 15, 20 years, and expect them also to change. That tiger's not going to change its stripes. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. And the officials, a zebra's not going to change its stripes either.
Right.
You've got to get new officials in there if you're going to make a difference, and I don't see the NFL doing that.
With the exception of the retired men that have become officials, and women now, because there are women officials, with the exception of the retirees that become officials, all the rest of these people have regular jobs, professional jobs. Mm-hmm. They're not going to be able to take on this referee job as a full-time venture. Unless they're being paid enough to where they will quit their other job to be the official. A lot of these guys are lawyers, judges, doctors. People that are
they're lawyers, and they'll take
most of them are lawyers.
Yeah, and they'll take that full-time job with the NFL.
Yeah, I don't know. Depends on
Hey, do you think the NFL is not going to pay them well?
Is. Well, this is true, but at the same time, some of these guys, they give up practicing law for this. Well,
what the hell?
Not everybody.
I'm sorry. Let me give you this thing. You're working at your job. Would you not give up your job to go be an official for full time?
I'm not a multi-million-dollar lawyer.
I don't give a damn
either.
I don't care.
You think they're going out picking the lawyer? Wait,
no.
Do you think they're going out picking the lawyer that's barely making $30,000 to $40,000 a year?
Hey, I'm sorry.
Working on civil cases.
You could have a lawyer that's doing that. It's how they work themselves up through college and everywhere else they've gotten to that point. Just because they got there doesn't mean they're a $1 million lawyer.
No. Okay. But what I'm saying is the NFL cannot. It would be in a horrible lapse of judgment for them to find a person to referee these games that could be easily swayed by somebody. What I mean, and you know why I mean.
Yeah, no, I understand.
But they're going to go find people that are very well set.
Are you saying that no?
Not necessarily rich people, but people that are very good. And
you're so biased.
What do you mean biased? They're not going to go out.
We don't want to look for that good official because he's only making $50,000 a year.
No.
As compared to this other good official making $1 million a year. Because
I just said it's not necessarily about money; it's about good character. They're not going to go get. They're not going to go get sleazebag.
Oh wow!
Listen.
I am.
Good character doesn't necessarily make a good official.
No,
right?
I agree.
But what I'm saying is they're the worst thing that could hurt the NFL. I mean, something that could kill them is a game fixing scandal.
Oh no, I understand.
So
that,
if they're in search of a referee, the one biggest piece of criteria: do you have any skeletons in your closet with any people that could come at you and say, "I need this game fixed"?
I could find Joe Smo working in a factory.
Sure.
That if he's a good official, he could be an outstanding person with no skeletons in his closets. And I've got Mr. Lawyer here that's gotten the little bribes underneath the table, and that's where he's won all these different cases. I mean, you can't just say that, that this top lawyer or someone like this is going to be a better decision maker or someone that will not be swayed. I mean, it depends on how you're raised.
Let's put it this way.
Not every person that is Johnny off the street is Johnny Slumlord.
This is true.
But
my point was this. My point was this. If a mob boss decides he wants to put $30,000 on a team that's a heavy underdog,
right,
and he wants to make sure that he makes that money, and he goes to Mr. Referee and says, "Hey, you're going to be the lead official in that game. I want to make sure that the Patriots don't win by 7 points."
And you're saying just because I have this job or this one, I won't be swayed as much as this guy?
Hold on. That's not what I'm saying is the NFL looks at a scenario like that very seriously.
Oh, I know. I agree. And that can happen anywhere.
And when the NFL picks who's going to be their referees, one of the things they're going to have to look at is this person set up enough in life that decision for them to say no is going to be easier to make.
Okay, but it's easier. Okay, then if you're going to say that, all the mobster has to do is say, "Hey, you know what? You have a very nice wife.
Now
she may not be around then." I mean,
obviously,
here's
obviously
the thing.
Something like that could happen too.
It doesn't make a difference.
I don't think it'd be that crucial.
You can't sit there and base that decision or even your opinion as far as saying, well, they've got to be well set up to be able to do it. No, I disagree. They have to have character, morals, and they have to be a good official.
I agree with that.
And it doesn't mean that
I didn't necessarily. Like I said, it's not the money thing.
But you you said they have to be well off.
No, well set up in their life. In other words, they don't. You don't want to go out and hire a compulsive gambler who's sweating away.
Are you saying Johnny that's making $15 an hour? That's not a compulsive gambler. That he has his house and everything else. He's going to be swayed more than Bill the lawyer that has a big rich house that's making $100,000 a year.
You have a mob boss come up to both of those guys and offer $250,000 to fix a game. The guy that's one car payment away from getting his car repoed versus the guy that's got 3 Benzes sitting in the garage.
You have morals. That it doesn't make a difference how much you're making. If you have morals and if you have ethics, you have morals and you have ethics no matter what.
Right.
I don't care what you get offered. I
agree.
I mean, I could sit there.
And I agree with you. What I'm saying is not to those people. The NFL is going to look and say which scenario would be less likely to be affected. Those are the people we're going to be looking at.
But now, see what you're doing is now you're taking away your equal opportunity, and you're not making equal opportunity.
Okay. Now you and I both know has the NFL really been equal opportunity?
Now you're violating other laws.
Wait. The NFL.
That's
the
just,
NFL.
Oh
hold on. The NFL had to put in. The NFL had to put in a Rooney Rule because for so many years they didn't even give black coaches a chance. At a head coaching job.
If we keep going on this subject, we aren't ending next week. because I'm going to beat your ass up on this week after week after week, because what you're saying, in my opinion, is totally asinine, because you cannot compare ethics and morals between what someone makes.
And look,
and the thing is,
I'm using that as one example,
Okay,
not
okay.
the ultimate example.
Okay, please.
Just one example.
Please help me out here.
I'm trying. Don't look. All I was saying was just one example. All right, that's just one track on the train, and we're looking at a whole train yard here. Don't get lost.
I thought I just
don't
went
get
to
lost.
I just thought I just went to a rally for our president. I was just
No, God, no.
I was just worried there for a minute.
No, what I'm saying, don't get lost on just that one track, because I'm not saying that's the end all be all. What I'm saying is that's one of the things that the NFL does look at, which is why you don't see a guy that was sacking groceries a week ago come in and referee an NFL game that has literally billions of dollars on the line for networks and teams and ticket sales.
But here's the thing:
in the NFL and so on and so forth.
If that guy sacking groceries worked himself up as a top-notch high school referee, as a top-notch college referee,
then
as a
hell
big
yes,
college
give him a
referee,
chance. Absolutely.
Yes, and he's still bagging groceries.
Right.
Okay, so
I don't. Do you know how many NFL referees have never refereed anything but a handful of college games, and then end up in the NFL? A lot more than you would think.
See, and that's
more than you would think.
And that's a travesty right there, and that's a travesty on the NFL.
And which is why I don't agree with their decision-making process. Which is also why I think that you're going to see a huge shakeup in the NFL referees. And to circle all the way back around to my point, now that we've taken this way on beyond.
I'm sorry. You took it on another path. you took it to another country there.
I couldn't make the second to our last show just humdrum, could I?
My God.
Listen, to circle all the way back around to my point.
Please do. Bring back the faith.
After all of that, this is why I say Tony Steratore, as the new president of the Referees Association, is going to be helpful for these referees, because he is going to say, what is the most important thing? And that is to keep the fans happy.
Preserve the NFL.
Preserve
the shield.
Yep. And by doing that, you're going to keep the fans happy. Because the fans, let's face it, the fans don't care who the referees are.
No,
and the fans don't care. And the fans don't care how long the referee's been a referee. You know what they care about? Did you make the right call?
The fans would rather not hear from the referee.
Right, exactly. Did you make the right call, and did you throw a record number of flags? If the answers to those are in order, yes and no,
then you know what? Get damn Ed Hockley out of there. Happy. Get some of these other guys out of here that all they're out there for is to talk.
Yes, and they need to go. Yeah. They really need to go. Once a referee becomes part of the game, it's no longer a good referee situation.
Before we go tonight, we need to talk about Claude Julien.
We're actually ready to talk about Claude Julien.
Good.
So let's talk about Claude Julien. Of course, Claude Julien fired
by the Boston Bruins.
Yes.
And he got fired the week of Super Bowl.
The Friday before Super Bowl, in fact. Friday afternoon.
He got fired leading into the Super Bowl. The Boston Bruins thought that they would do a great thing and take the most winningest coach in Boston Bruins history and fire him. This is a guy that got them the Stanley Cup a couple years back.
Yes.
They fired him. And it's, yes, the Boston Bruins are having a struggling year. But you know what? They're still in the playoff hunt. They're still third in their division. They're still set there. And yet they fired him because they weren't doing so good.
Yeah, they had a slump for it was a couple of weeks, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey, let's clean house.
Well, let's talk about why they had a slump. Well, over the last couple of years, they got rid of one of their top goal scorers, Tyler Seguin, who's now down in Dallas, who's one of the top score goalers or goal scorers in all of NHL. I know, all of the NHL. They got rid of all of their defense. You know, they
Right.
got rid of Johnny Boychuk. They got rid of Doug Hamilton. They got rid of some of these guys
Right.
that were very big on that back end.
Right.
They watched their front end get old. You know, they got rid of Louis Erickson this last year. Louis Erickson they could have had him for a song. This is a guy that scores 20 to 25 goals every single year, plays a major part up front. They just let him go. And the thing is, they really didn't have anything to fill in. And here you got Claude Julien. You've got a great goalie in Tuukka Rask. Tuukka Rask was one of the top goalies in all of the NHL. You know how many games, other than how many games the Boston Bruins have won that Tuukka Rask has not been in net this year?
No.
2.
Really?
2. Because they don't have anyone that can go in there. They don't have anyone. They don't have a second goalie that they can rely upon. You take a look at the Blackhawks. You know, Corey Crawford, that's, you know, obviously their number one goalie.
Right.
They've got a guy behind him, Scott Darling,
Yeah.
who's won 11, 12 games this year as a backup.
Really?
Because Crawford went down with an injury.
Yeah.
You know, Darling came in and won. Darling's able to come in once or twice every other week to give Crawford time off. Rask did not have that. So Rask is getting beat up to hell, you know, throughout the season. And you go through there, you've lost all your defense in front of you. You've got an aging Zdeno Chara because you've got his contract that's going to kill you.
Right.
You don't have anyone else back there that is top notch in defense.
Right.
Your forwards, you've basically bastardized your front end because you got rid of everybody because they didn't fit the Bruin way. They didn't do this. Now
Right.
you're not performing. So who do you got to blame? Well, we're going to blame the coach. It's not that we didn't put. It's not that we put the wrong players out front. We did. It's not that we didn't give you enough players, or enough good players to play. No, we didn't. You just didn't win with the guys we gave you. The guys that on another team would win like 10 games less than what they're winning.
Right.
So on the eve of the Super Bowl, we decided to get rid of Claude Julien. Mm-hmm. Now, the first thing I said was, and I put this on the page, he will not be without a job long.
Right.
It lasted about a week.
Yep.
He was out of a job for a week. Now, who picks him up? Let me think. If we take a look at the most dominating team ever in the NHL, the team that's won more championships than any other team in the NHL, a team that's the most bitter rival of the Boston Bruins in the NHL. Gee, let me think. What if we say, hey, we're actually leading our division. They were leading their division. They still are. They got rid of their coach so they could bring Claude Julien in. Who's that? The Montreal Canadiens. The Montreal Canadiens fired their coach while leading the division to get Claude Julien because the Bruins made a horrible, horrible, horrible decision in firing this guy. The Canadians realized what a great coach Julien was. They realized what he was saddled with and what he had to work with.
Right.
And they said,
Right.
Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Hell no, we're bringing this guy in. I sat there, I said, hey, that'd be kind of nice to get Julien on the bench with Quenneville. Gee, Quenneville ever wants to get out of there, we got Julien to go with. I'd take him.
Right.
Who wouldn't?
Yeah, no kidding.
And for the Boston Bruins, and this is my wife's favorite team, so I get to hear a lot of Boston Bruins.
Right.
My wife and my daughter's team, and even for me, I watched this and I shook my head. I said, how the hell could they ever do that? You've got to take a look at the front office and what they're doing up there. That's where the blame should be. But no, it's easier to say, now the coach is gone. Now we'll just get rid of the coach. So, that was, in the NHL, you talk about, that doesn't happen that often, where you see a top-notch coach fired in that manner, but then to turn around and the division-leading team say, hey, you know what? He's better than the hell coach we got right now. Get rid of our coach and bring that guy in. That tells not only the NHL, not only the Bruins, but all the fans, the worth of Claude Julien.
Yeah.
You know, what this man was worth and what he is as a coach and how respected he is in the NHL. The Boston Bruins may not do it, and they may think that, hey, that'll shake up everything, but they lost themselves one damn good coach by a very, very stupid decision. And then to try and hide it during Super Bowl week, man, they ought to be ashamed of themselves for doing that.
Oh, I totally agree. I thought that was ridiculous. I was like, "Are you serious? You're gonna and then on top of it, you're gonna do it right during Super Bowl week when it's time for
because,
all the other news to just kind of shift aside."
Well, the thing is remember, all the Boston papers are on top of the Patriots.
Yeah, oh yeah, they were going to be all over the Patriots.
All the East Coast papers are on top of the Patriots.
Right.
They're hoping that this gets pushed off to the second page, the third page, whatever.
Yeah.
Do your expose on Belichick. Do your expose on Brady. And, oh, by the way, the Bruins did this.
Yeah.
Didn't work.
And let's not talk about it.
No, and it didn't work. So, kudos out there to the Montreal Canadiens. I hate to say that because I'm not a big Canadiens fan. Kudos to the Montreal Canadiens because you picked up a hell of a coach.
Right.
Hey, Boston Bruins, man, oh man, oh man. You have fallen into disgrace. You need to take a look at that front office. And if I was the owner, I'd be taking a look at a lot of new decisions and maybe a new way to go because they aren't going to go anywhere with that group in the front office.
No, not at all. Well, this wraps it up. Second to last show, man. I'm
wrapping up your cord right
I just
now.
don't want to forget it.
I know.
Yeah, I almost did last week.
Yes, you did.
So this is wrapping up the second to last show. Last show next week, next Friday. Hope you listen. We're going to put it up on the page. Put it up on the Facebook page too.
On the page tonight.
Give us your favorite moment from the last couple of years, Steve and I together, or favorite take, or just favorite thing, and we'll read them all next week. We'll try and get them all in next week. I want to hear every one of them, and we're gonna it'll be the end of an era for us, so we'll spend probably a little bit of time saying goodbye. But until then, it's time to go home, sweet home. What do you think?
I think that'd be a great way to go.
Absolutely. So for Steve Dennerman, this is Steve Willis. You guys have a good week. We'll talk to you next week.
Good night, everybody.
I'm a dreamer.